Te pā, te toko toko I whenuku, te toko toko I wherangi, toki a tukia. Ko te mumu, ko te awha, ko te mumu, ko te awha, ko te manihi kai o ta takere panapana, ka rau I ronga, ka rau I raro, ka whai tā more. I runga ka whai tā more I raro. Tēnā ko te pau. Tēnā ko te pau, o rongo, no rongo mauri ora, ka ora te pau, te toko toko I whenuku, te toko toko I wherangi, toki a tukia. Ko te mumu, ko te awha, ko te mumu, ko te awha, ko te manihi kai o ta takere panapana, ka rau I runga, ka rau I raro, ka whai tā more I runga, ka whai tā more I raro. Tēnā ko te pau. Tēnā ko te pau, o rongo, no rongo mauri ora, ka ora
We're actually all related. We're descended from the same tupuna. If you'd gone up to Kaitaki Cemetery, you'd see a kuia there, Maraea, Hemi Tipene or something like that. And she married a guy called Hemi Tipene, who was a son of Tipene. And they had 5 children. There was Rata, the oldest, then Te Piha, and then Moetu, then Pera, Arapera, and then Lopere. Tohe is descended from the oldest one, Rata. Hori is descended from Moetu, the third one, and I'm descended from Pera, the fourth one. So we're all closely related, all Tipenes to some way, and yet we talk a lot about the unity between Ngāti Hine and Ngāti Wai. But the eponymous ancestor of Ngāti Hine was Hine Amaru. Her husband was actually Kōperu, who was from Ngāti Wai. So from, I don't know how many to them, but I know from myself to Hine Amaru is 14 generations. So that's lots and lots of people if you start adding them up. So I thought that might be putting in context how important whakapapa is to us, because I know the previous chair, when I started the Ngāti Hine Runanga, Witi McMath, had come to me and we'd talked a lot about we were both on the first conservation board, so we often talked about our whanangatanga and how we'd work together on different things, and I'm happy to say it's still happening now. Yeah.
I just want to tautu wana ngā kororo kere, ko wa mātou whakapapa herende I a tātou. And I think it bonds us, like I kororo nei Kevin, I tā tātou here ki a Ngāti Wai, shoot kōpuru, ne? And then there's always been a saying from our old people, Ngāti Wai ki te tua mona, Ngāti Wai ki te tua whenu, Ngāti Hine ki te tua whenu, Ngāti Hine ki te tua mona. Ko te o tāua here, I roto o Ngāti Wai, I roto o Ngāti Hine. So there's that bond through that whakapapa of kōpuru and Hine Amaru.
At that time I'd been the chairman of Tangata Whenua Rōpū and MPI, looking at that, what they call Kauri dieback. and watching them spending at least $1.2, $1.4 million a year and going nowhere. And so eventually, because I'm racking them up all the time in MPI, the whāora was them after a while, and I knew Tohe was teaching Rongoā. So I come back and had a kōrero to Tohe. I said to Tohe, let's have a look at some of our kaumātua's kōrero. I said, one of those kōreros was when Tāne was making the kauri tree. He put legs on one. So the kauri tree, whenever he wanted to talk to the tree was always where he put it, but the other fellow had to go and look for him all the time. And he'd always find him in a river or something like that. So he said, oh, yeah, I'll give you some water. So he said, that's when he gave it to his bro, Tangaro. So I said, that's a pretty neat story, that one, because you won't know the rest of that story too, was when like that one with legs on it became a whale. And because one day the whale come back and had a kōrero to the kauri tree about how cool it is out there in the morning. I said to the kauri tree, why did you come? I said, nah, I'll stay here. And that's when the whale said to the kauri tree, I'll give you some of my skin. And the tree said, yeah, well, what I want some of your skin for? And the whale said, one day man going to cut you down and make you into a waka. So I said, that's one story. I said, the next story that I want us to have a look at, because this was all focusing on that Waitopra, that disease. And because I said to Tohe, another story, I said I had an auntie, and you know, they used to get that ulcer on their leg here. And my auntie Matakino, she had it on both legs. She had a bandage around both legs. And you're one of those growly aunties too, when you see her coming, oh, look out, here comes Father. Yeah, so what I was likening that to was when this Waitopra sticks his nose out, he'll come up through the more, the feeder roots of the tree and come all the way up and then climb up about that high above the ground and stick his nose out. So I said to Tohe, I said to him that another kōrero was part of my whakapapa as mahanga, and mahanga is twins. And I used to hear my kaumātua say when I was young that if one of those twins gets sick, the other one's got the medicine. So I said to Toya, let's try it. Let's grind up some wild bone and mix it with some spermaceti oil and put it on there like a poultice and see whether it'll suck that ngarara out. Hey. Well, so what I was on about, I always remember my aunties and that, they tried all sorts to try and get the head of that ulcer out. And they couldn't get it out, you know. It always just stayed with them until they died. And I thought, let's try it. See whether we can make a poultice up. It'll suck that bloody thing out. And so I gave Toy some bone and some oil. And because then along the way he told me that he started to rot. And because I didn't want any Pākehās or scientists around us, see, because they denied us all of that for so long. I didn't want them there standing there walking at us because we cried for the tree, we talked to it, all those, and didn't want them around. And I was glad when Tohe said that he started, but I said, oh, you know, for wait. And he said, oh, this Pākehā, I'm over at Paparori. And I didn't want to go near it. Hey. So month after month, Toya told me, oh no, you good? And I still wouldn't go until eventually I said, come on. It was Toya and Shane came over and I went. And I'd heard about these trees. There were like 7 trees, they were various degrees of sick. And the sickest one was almost completely run by. And that was the one really I wanted to look at. As I'm walking past the other one, that was the one. And as I was walking towards the one that was almost completely run by, I could see all the old bark lying on the ground around the tree. And as I got up to it, I could see new skin. So I looked at Tohe and I said, oh, I think we might have some here. I said, but let's not make a big noise like a Pākehā or a scientist let's just go home and get our Rongoā factory up and working and get our kōrero wānanga sorted and get our teams together to go and do the mahi. And the biggest mahi for us was how are we going to fund them to go out and do the mahi. And so that's how all of that happened. So that was several months ago, and just recently MPI got in touch and said we want to have a look at those trees. And so that's how that came. And of course I thought about Mel then. I said, Mel, you can come up, I don't know. And so we went and had a look with these MPI fellows, and we could see that we'd stopped the lesion. And it was a bit like the Auntie saw. If you got the head of that ulcer out, it'll stop running. Hey, that was what was going on in my mind. And when I saw we'd stopped the lesion, I thought we've got the little bugger out. So I was happy. And that's what I thought when we went there with the MPI fellows. I was thinking to myself, you know, for nearly over 15, heading towards 20 years, this disease has been around. Though he changed it from dieback to Kauri Ora, only because there was a better vibration from it, eh? It was more like a connection, eh, you know, aroha, tahi ki te tahi. And so that all happened.
It was about the impact of our rongo going back into that therapeutic bill where they want to bring it back out, and looking at rongo going back into that. And that's a big impact for us if we lose all our rongo in Ngāti, because there's big companies that are actually taking rongo and sending them overseas. You know, and I said, well, who are these people that are making rongo? You know, what ngāhere are they getting that out of? Sooner or later, our ngāhere is going to disappear, because and I go to some of these places, they're already manufacturing these rongo in big, huge containers. And you just order the container, whether it be a kumarahau cough syrup, it comes in big containers, so people order it and then they put it into little containers and then they send them overseas. So kawakawa, all that stuff is coming in big containers. I tried to take a picture of where was it coming, but I didn't get a chance. They were trying to hiding it away from me, and those are the impacts that we talk about, you know, colonisation. And this is what I was saying, if rongo has to go back into, you know, they're pushing us, then all hell's going to break loose, because we can't let it happen.
Watching it, you know, with DOC, Regional Council and Pangos and others, to try and use some kind of scientific remedy, find some kind of scientific remedy, it just didn't happen. And that's what that was about. I was involved with that whole thing with Kauri tree from the beginning. So just watching it, listening to the kōrero all over the blooming place. Mamatama. And that's what that was about. What else can we do? And that's why I said to Toya, what do you reckon? What about we try? Well, he was the Rongoā. I said, let's try it. And there was then the reason. The Pākehās couldn't find a reason. And so I thought I'll try and find one within our own paradigm. So that's the why for me. And just through talking, listening to DOC, listening to MPI, listening to all of those fellows talking about it. Because that's the only other, I thought, well, okay, if we can't find it there, well, there's no answer, if there is such a thing.
And I think, following on from Hori's call, tautokona ngā kōrero Hori, you know, it's been a long time that all these other ones have been looking for an alternative, using science, and hasn't come anywhere. Before G's got involved, we were having our own wānanga, and we had a wānanga in Waikana. I think it was us, no, it wasn't with Kevin, But we had a wānanga around what does the healthy index, and we looked at rongo, because we were, part of that was all the practitioners got together at Waikare to talk about rongo and how can we heal our trees. And so we looked at, we use rongo to heal ourselves. Why can't we use the rongo to heal our own forest? You know, if we class ourselves as one of the children of Tāne, then why aren't we using that to look after our trees also? Because we asked for permission to heal ourselves using the rongo. So why don't we use the rongo back onto our Rakāu? And so that was one of the things. Then we sat to look at all different type of rongo. And we talked about ash, we talked about the korari and the hupeo and the korari. So we talked about many things in how to heal our Rakāu. And looking at the relationship between the different Rakāu, you know. And I suppose part of that too was when Kevin held a hui up at Mototawe up the back, and we brought tawhao from Tūhoi to come up, and he did the whakapapa, but we also had our kuias up there, you know, and they were talking about the different Rakāu and the different remedies that they held. So we had Airepaka from up here, just up the road, we had Auntie Mabel, and so we were all in the ngahere while the kaumātua and kuia were talking about why don't we use our rongo to heal the rongo. So for us it was, you know, it was a big thing, you know, and we listened to tawhao doing that, the whakapapa talking about the little trees and talking about ngā manu, ngā kararehe, what came out of part of Tāne's children, you know, and then to the bigger trees, those trees, the pene te kauri there that you couldn't eat, but it was used to build. And the wera kōrero katoa I puta mai te kaumātua. And so that video that he did, that kōrero that he did, is what we use in te wānanga o Aotearoa for rongo.
I think the main thing to me is that all the solutions to date haven't worked. and I remember your question earlier to us about, what's my thought of how we're tracking, and I said, well, I think we've gone backwards. And I suppose if put it in context, I was thinking about 50 years ago, 1973, that's 50 years ago, yeah, and we could go on a horse out to Kaitoki and you'd see 70 pigeons perched on Tirairaka trees, all sitting there, and they're there for the taking. You might take two, ki te Rakāu, ki te tō kāinga or something like that, but and so it'll take us a lot of effort to, we didn't have all the technology we've got now, and yet we seem to have had it far better environmentally 50 years ago than we have today. And I'm mindful that yes, the number of pests have increased, type of pests have increased. There's a lot more now coming in on ships and from other areas, and the Rongoā solution, I think, is just the last one. I think our body's healing is no much different from our environment healing, and we got to use the ways that we know have worked so far. And to me, what has worked in the past has been nature doing things ourselves, and doing without the help of mankind, and that's why that the rahui is one of the best cures. Me waiho tuku mā te wāhi ngaroe, whakatika ke ngā naue o te ao, just And good examples are that place in Russia where they had that that explosion and they have had to leave it all. They've deserted the whole place. Te tupua kena ngā kraihe, ngā Rakāu I Wainganui, te concrete, me te ngā rori, so all nature is coming back. They've got deer or caribou wandering through that place. It's developing into forest. So I think that's still, and that hasn't been long. That's only been about 30 years, and it's recovering, So I still think the rahui is probably one of the better cures for the environment. Even if we did nothing, I think it'll still fix it up itself. So, and like I said earlier, if you boil everything down, you don't have to worry about anything really. Nā tātou nui, kārangirangi hei tātou. Yeah, we make ourselves worry, and we don't really need that. Yeah. E nui rā tēnā māku.
Te mauri o tanga papangurui tahora nui te manawa o te moana te mauri o Tangaroa